I am always excited to see artists work from life.
If I tie it here, I'll paint there.
And everyone has a different style, a different way of working.
I wouldn't normally paint this big, but...
For general admission, I'm searching for likeness.
I'm really literally just shifting shapes around.
After likeness, then we can talk about the things that make the painting special.
Behind every successful painting is a lot of failure.
You are placing yourself into a very uncomfortable situation.
I don't like trying to soothe myself by just saying, it's okay, I'm just drawing.
It's just a lot of stress in terms of the time pressure and the competition.
But that's the fun. I find that any painting that I've done that was too easy all the way through has never turned out very well.
But it is also such a fantastic experience for participants.
This is more safety blanket one. You just keep going at it and hopefully you get lucky.
Welcome to the second Raw Umber Studios Portrait Paint-Off. We're incredibly fortunate to have a large number of talented representational artists in the UK, in Europe and beyond. And we're proud to be able to invite some of them here today to join in this competition. And part of the competition is to promote the incredible work that they're doing and bring it to an even wider audience.
Welcome, artists! Get ready to make a portrait, so please come in. Ellen, always the last one in.
Yes, I know.
We've got 10 amazing artists today, and we're going to be putting them at the center of things. So we've got professional models, we've tried to get the lighting just right, and we'll be painting from life, so no photographs allowed. They have 1 day to paint, and we have 3 judges at the end. Myself, Lisette Dingemans, Cornelia Hernies, and Steven Bouwman. We will have a cash prize for the winner, and the winner will also get a feature at Arts and Illustrators magazine, but we also have a public vote. And this winner will get cash plus vouchers at Cas Art. So have a look at our website and vote for the winner. Welcome, artists. Our models today are Paul and Lady. So grab your easels and let's go. What's going to be different this year is that, of course, we're in our own studio in Stroud. So I think the environment will be a lot more comfortable for the artist and for us judges as well.
The way that I imagine the second annual competition will be different from the first is that competitors may know a bit more about the dynamic, know what the judges are looking for, and how this particular competition is being measured.
Does everybody have their spots? Yes. All right, let's get started. I'll set the timer now.
I think that the Raw Umber Studios Paint-Off chooses artists that are firmly grounded in the fundamentals of painting. That seems to be the focus, not only for academic purposes, but to support the artwork that's made by representational artists.
So when you are participating in a painting competition, you are placing yourself into a very uncomfortable situation. But it is also such a fantastic experience for participants. And in my experience, it also creates such a strong sense of camaraderie. So even if it is a competition, it often also brings a wonderful sense of support, I find, to the artists that are participating.
My favorite part of the painting process is definitely the block-in. It's the part that I'm most engaged with the subject. Is when I think I'm at my most freshest and I'm capturing the energy and the essence of the subject I'm trying to paint. My name is Melissa Franklin Sanchez, and I moved to Florence in 2003 to study painting at the Florence Academy of Art. I fell in love with Florence, fell in love, and have been there now for over 20 years. I'm painting on copper. It's a surface I've been using for over 15 years now.
All right, so now everybody has been painting for about an hour. So let's see how everyone is doing.
The block-in is probably the trickiest on copper because from some angles it all appears light, other areas it all appears dark. So when I'm blocking it in, I try to be quite quick in getting the first layer down. I always try to simplify it in terms of big light shapes and big dark shapes.
Yeah.
So now I feel I've got a rough placement of my darks. I'm actually now just starting to mix a full range of values of trying to group them into darks, mids and lights, and I'll start roughly placing those. Want to keep it fairly thin and dry in the hope that I'll be able to paint on top of it this afternoon. I was introduced to copper in an exhibition where I saw this beautiful 17th century landscape painted on copper, and it just called me from across the room because it was just so luminous. And I just tried working with it, and it's now to the point where it's really my favorite surface to work on. This one I prepared by sanding it and then degrease it and then put a layer of turpentine. There's another process which I usually use, which is first of all, you sand it, you clean it with alcohol, let it dry, and then you rub garlic juice onto it.
What does the garlic juice do in terms of the surface? Does it change the behavior?
It does significantly. So it's slightly acidic, so it bites the plate and it allows the paint to adhere better. It also creates a stronger chemical bond between the paint and the copper.
My paintings take quite a long time, anything between 5 days, that's the minimum, to a couple of months. I'm Luca Indraccolo, I'm an Italian painter, and I'm currently living in Malta. At the very beginning, I'm just blocking in, trying to get the shape of the head right, and I like to put masses down before really holding on to any part of the drawing. So I'm really literally just shifting shapes around until they kind of get a bit more into the right spot. It helps me a lot, just squint the hell out of it and just trying to represent what I see then and take it from there. So the idea is I'm being very conscious of how I put paint down, and I try to be very delicate and just put it down and leave it with these super soft brushes. The other thing that helps, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I just see a blurry mess, and that's the way I cope. My plan was to tackle this with a limited palette, and so I use this kind of orangey brown, which mixed with white gives me that very chromatic color. That's kind of a transparent red oxide. And so that was my plan, just keep it nice and simple. And then come in, everything is bright orange, and now I have the opposite problem where I can't make it chromatic enough because I don't have cadmiums or anything like that. This is as chromatic as I can go. So it's going to be a gray face. But as long as the drawing is all right, should be okay.
So in that kind of pyramid of priority, drawing, like
99%, and then the rest is whatever, take it or leave it. Yeah. To me, actually, the real priority is trying to get the likeness, trying to get the drawing and the structure of the head as accurate as I can.
Well, likeness is a really difficult subject because to an extent there's that sort of obviously external, measurable, objective set of factors. But I think I'm more and more painting something that I sense in people. My urgency is to represent something just a bit adjacent to just the objective facts, some sensation that's more the presence than the measurements. But they all have to be reconciled. I mean, I wouldn't abandon objectivity, and I love the sort of rigor of drawing, and it's what I want to put in it beyond that, I think is what I strive for. I'm Andy James. I have been a painter for almost 40 years. I'm self-taught, and I still continue to make things up as I go along. I paint quite raw pictures. I never try ever to please anyone other than try and say something that I believe in. So it invariably ends up quite unpolished.
Do you usually work fast or within a painting session? Or do you usually layer your painting?
I do lots of demos and things around about 2 hours. So I'm quite used to the sort of the compression of time and the speed.
And so what's the next step forward?
Well, begin to just make sure everything's attached so as I can begin to work in the areas that are as yet completely unexplored. And I wanted initially to form the sort of atmospherics, make sure that I got a sense of how colour relationships might work. And then I can sort of come in and bring the presence of a person really there. I don't want to over-model, but I do feel that there's a set to the forehead and the mouth. So this area and that area, I think, are going to be very important. Make sure I don't underplay that sort of lovely transition.
I think every painting is sort of like a puzzle. You have to figure out the best way to go about creating a image that's going to be successful. And I think along the way with every painting, you hit a lot of problems. And I think that's the most exciting thing for me about painting is that it's not very easy. And especially portraiture, because we're people, our eyes are most sensitive to other people. So if you do it wrong, everybody's going to know it, whether they're an artist or not. And I think that difficult aspect of trying to capture a person and do it realistically is the fun bit. I'm Phoebe Stewart-Carter. I'm an oil painter and a portrait artist. I did 3-4 years in Florence studying more academic art. And that's definitely what I'm more inclined to. If I work too linearly, I end up getting lost. So I've thrown in basic dark masses, shadow, and the darkness of the hair. And now I'm just sort of trying to figure out the shape of the face, vaguely where the features are going to sit, and just sort of a general color value to work with for the first couple sessions. It's easier to put a mess on the canvas and organize it for me than to have too much drawing underneath.
More stuff to juggle.
More stuff to juggle.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's the fun. I find that any painting that I've done that was too easy all the way through has never turned out very well. But if there's a moment in the middle where I get really, really stressed because I feel like I'm losing it, those ones turn out better.
I think portraitures are immensely difficult, and I'm addicted to painting faces. You know, I sometimes see the faces that I paint as actors on a stage, whatever that stage is. I'm not sure what it is. My name is Alan Ramsey, and I paint faces. The likeness is absolutely essential. If you're not chasing likeness, you're doomed as a portrait painter, as a painter of faces and a portrait painter.
I can see you've been working with a ruler over there, so there's a measuring technique happening.
I'm not really measuring, I'm just taking angles. Sometimes I measure, but measuring never helps me. Now, ideally, maybe I would measure sometimes. I do it, every day is different. But because time is short, I'm just bashing away. And so therefore, I like to check angles or horizontals or verticals, really. I've always been addicted to painting. I've always been addicted to images. It's a pity I'm not better at it, but it is the only place outside my family that kind of makes any sense.
I paint because it was my first love and because I wanted to seek out to paint when I was very young. I guess it's like being stubborn. It's kind of like being hard-headed. It's like, I want to learn how to paint, so I'm going to learn how to paint, and I'm going to do it well, hopefully. My name is Christina Cruz. I was born in Louisiana, and I spent a lot of time growing up in Utah. And through that, I met Ryan Brown, who is a Florence Academy graduate. And through him, I was introduced to the world of academic art. From the time I was 14, I had started taking life classes with Ryan. And then by the time I was 18, I started to save up to go to Lyme. And I've been there for 2 years now. And I am going back for a third year of continuing to study, but also to teach.
I like the beginning stages. I think that there's like interesting decisions that can be made early on where maybe like you kind of like slip out because things could be a little bit messier because you kind of think, oh, I'll just return to it. But sometimes that initial intuition can serve the painting.
I hope to improve my painting by kind of crossing over what I'm learning in sculpture, the little bit that I can do. I think it kind of like solidified my ideas of structure and like how I can like think about that while I'm painting the human form. I don't think that made sense to me until it was literal. If I could live 2 lives, I would live a full life as a sculptor. I think it's like way more intimate. I think it kind of is like it's kind of like the superior medium in some ways.
I think both painting and sculpting are equally difficult. They both have their own challenges, but I prefer to get my hands dirty with oils. My name is Vrinda Pahuja. I'm an artist from India. I did my graduation in sculpture in India, and currently I'm studying classical drawing and painting in Spain. At this stage, mostly I'm thinking about like the portrait being a big egg. So I want to turn the whole thing and like sculpt smaller forms on top. At university, in India at least, like there was not so much focus on studying, but more of like just throwing in ideas and see what you can build. Versus like over here, like in the academic training so far, like it's less of that, but more of like just learning and working skill-wise.
How do you get that kind of cooler temperature that we see in the area of the temple?
For neutral, I just mix general black and white, and violet grey is my new favorite color to add that. Yeah. So I use tiny bit of that. Yeah. So I darken with raw umber and keep adding a bit of these so it makes sense with the rest of the premixes. And like to experiment with color and just the idea to show something 3D on a 2D surface is something that is like very fascinating to me.
I think technique and skill is incredibly important and passion is incredibly important. You know, art is always subjective. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong of what's more important. I think if you can find that unique balance where artists you feel the emotion and the meaning and the excitement as well as the technique, then that's fantastic. You look at someone like Picasso, he learned all the techniques and then decided to break the rules. And then others who break the rules and then later in life say, I'd like to learn more accurate drawing. So I think it doesn't really matter. I think for me, if you can get both in a painting, you really can feel the magic. My name's Laura Aronson and I am a London-based artist.
The first time that you're participating in a competition?
Yes.
Yes? How is it?
It's wonderful, actually.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun. So feeling the adrenaline, feeling the energy of everybody else and enjoying it.
There's an intensity.
Yeah.
And everybody's sort of approaching it, differently, but with the sort of same language.
But that's what's always so beautiful is we're all looking at the same subject and yet everybody sees it in a different way and captures different things that excite that artist.
What is the sort of moment that captivates you in this composition?
Something I'm really trying to look for here is the rhythms and the gestures. There's a beautiful calls and warms going through. And it just, for me, portrait is about storytelling. So it's just trying to capture some kind of narrative at some point.
Yes, an emotion. And
definitely both my emotion and his emotion.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't consider myself to be a portrait artist because I don't want to draw a box around myself. I'm only, 25. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years I will be a still life painter. Hi, my name's Angus Wilkins. I'm from Hampshire, and I like to paint portraits primarily. But for about 7 years or so, I was painting landscapes quite a lot. But I sort of run out of compositions, and I got fed up with carrying very heavy equipment in the sun and the cold and all that. So now I mostly just paint portraits.
How do you like the color harmonies in this composition? It seems like really intentional in a good way.
That was not a decision that I made. It just happened. I just react to what's in front of me.
More intuitive.
My method of painting is essentially to sort of mimic the patchwork of tone and color that I see in front of me and sort of create a similar thing on my canvas.
Are you moving from larger brushes to smaller brushes on that journey?
All my brushes are sort of middle size, so like size 5, 6. And then I have some size 10 for background. And I only use hog mostly.
Okay, why is that?
Texture.
Okay.
They can scoop up plenty of paint. They're very long lasting. I think they're more beautiful. So I think there is a overlap between landscape painting and portrait painting. They both require an ability to design shapes and distill visual phenomena into paint.
I was born in artists' family. I was growing up between artists. I can't do anything else. My father was a really amazing and famous artist, and he was a teacher for my mother. She also was an artist. My brother is an artist. I'm also an artist. My name is Victoria Resnyanska. I'm from Ukraine.
You started another painting on the other side.
Because I need to change picture in my view. Okay. If I tie it here, I'll paint there.
Yes.
Then I tie it there. I paint here.
So you're going to go back and forth?
Yeah, it's like a break.
Oh, fantastic. That's intense.
Yeah.
Should we go and have a look at that one as well? And here you are approaching it differently because you have the whole portrait.
Yeah. Here I can focus only on portrait because many interesting details.
So here you're responding to the larger movement and the interplay between shadow and light. And here is more the characteristic of his face. Yeah.
Real art, it's always energy. Really good art always has aftertaste.
Some artists really paint from emotion, right? And that's, for me, also really interesting because I'm still so much learning how to be a skillful artist that I'm more preoccupied with making something look like someone and to make it technically correct. But how to make it an artwork is still a question. So you want to think about, do I want to make this more finished, more smooth, more polished? Do I want to go a bit looser? And that's something I always find very interesting, that how abstract can I get? How precise do I want to be?
Independent of someone's style, if it is more of a tightly rendered portrait or it's a little bit more loose, a bit more abstract, what needs to be consistent is still the underlying quality. So some sense of structure. And I don't think that structure has to be down to the millimeter always, but it has to do with relationships. So that, for example, the alignment of the eyes and the nose and the ears, is fitting the overall structure of the portrait.
I think at bare minimum, an artist needs to come here and prove that they can capture a great likeness. After that, I'm looking for an artist to show me what they think is special and show me what they think their vision is when they're working with a live model. I think halfway through the competition, you got to be looking for potential, right? There's people that are like shooting for the stars and maybe, they make it to the rooftops.
Some people start in a very linear way and build it up from there. And other people just start throwing on colors and values and then, immerse in the chaos of painting.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because some people are basically almost finished and others haven't really got going at all yet.
It's kind of unpredictable, but I do think that some people are a little bit more comfortable and some people are kind of like Bambi on ice.
So, should we have a look at them?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Alan, I'm scared for him because he's barely got anything on. Mm-hmm. I think the drawing is really good, but is he going to get color on in time? I don't know.
Based upon what I saw from competitors last year, people that started really, really slow ended up with a huge time crunch at the end. Yeah. And I'm definitely worried about Alan for that. I really liked Angus's color harmonies straight from the beginning. My concern about the painting is that it'll be a beautiful painting with a lot of great color harmony, but a composition that remains to me relatively uninteresting.
It's straight on. It's in the middle of the painting, nothing else happening. Yeah. I do really like his juicy paint though. Mm-hmm. It's nice and thick. I like that.
It is really lovely. And I do think that it sort of started off a bit like clockwork as well. Like he had a really nice approach and he quickly got into the color and value as well.
It's a very confident painter.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very able. I think that is very strong. It's a strong contender in my opinion.
I think he's got the best likeness of all of them, don't you think?
I think he's got a good likeness. My concern with Luca's painting is that he might get a little bit too wrapped up in getting the likeness and making it accurate. He might miss out on all the color notes.
He's got some lovely ones here on the nose. He's starting there.
The dark halftones are really light and the shadows are really light as well, which generally doesn't equate to a really good light effect. Andrew has that big energy and he's taken a really big swing and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
If he manages to pull off something that has enough of a value statement that it feels convincing, I'm already feeling like the likeness would satisfy me.
There's a really juicy paint application, kind of mouth-watering, like that element of, exactly.
Nice and thick canvas. I love his brushstrokes. I love the color notes. But I do think with this sort of painter who started really strong, sometimes they can near the end sort of taper out. To be honest, I'm not super confident about this one.
She did start off with a very rigid design to the shadow shape, but she has gone in there and adjusted that. So I do think that her focus and priority is synchronized with the stage. But yes, it remains to be seen if she can kind of pull out some really nice design in the feature as well. I think she had a good start and a good continuation. She approached this in a very mass-oriented way, and then she's been pulling out the drawing since. And she's been expanding on the colors and the values. The drawing there is a little iffy right now with the eye that's a little bit too high up on the others, one side, but it can get there. That needs to be adjusted though, so that symmetry is working well.
I think it falls for me into the category of a head study, which can be pulled off in a way that's really impressive and really nice, but it relies almost completely on technical excellence.
Again, maybe a little bit more of a head study than a composition, but I like the way she's thinking about it.
Sometimes there's a way that a work can be unfinished, which you'll appreciate the unfinished parts of it as an aesthetic. Of course, we all know that she's studying at Lime Academy as well, or teaching there now, and I do see those strong Lime Academy vibes. That being said, I like those strong Lime Academy vibes.
Her drawing was initially a little bit in her way. she could probably have entered into the massing in earlier.
There's a pure joy in the application of paint. Every brushstroke is like a little bit of happiness to her, and I see it straight from the beginning. She did start, I feel like, a little bit slower.
I'm a bit worried for her because of that. What you're saying is she was slow to start. Some people had a whole drawing and she just had a few lines.
I think that there is a sort of slightly stylized element to the portrait, which I rather like as well. Like there is a strong attitude, even in the small scale of the portrait. A lot of expression is already resonating.
It's not really likeness, but it's got an expression to it.
Yeah.
She had a really strong start. I love the sort of transparency, opacity thing that she's working with. My main concern is she going to arrive with really good plane structure and form?
It's very atmospheric, it's very fluid and very liquid. And I like the juxtaposition between those qualities and the more sort of abstract kind of expression of the hair and the shadow shape. But it really has to tap into the design of that, the shadow shape. I think of the eye and the nose and the features in general.
Well, painting is all about balance, right? Yeah. That you want to feel that softness, but you want to feel that structure and rigidity as well.
And at the moment, it's all softness.
But like that moment where the eye sockets are kind of brought together with that slightly cool transitional halftone right above the glabella, like I find that to be really delicious.
And this one is then completely different, right? To the last one we saw, no softness.
Very energetic. Together with painting this one, she's actually painting a second portrait as well. So a high level of intensity and focus.
It's interesting that she's working on like a whole body. Yeah. It's a really weird composition. She's really cramped the head all the way to the top and it's got all this extra space.
Whereas here there's more of a block, but it could still change.
I guess I like that block. The tilt of the head and the interesting interplay of like some line here and then that sort of goes and it's more of it feels more like him. It feels more dynamic somehow.
I have to say, I prefer the larger one.
I prefer this one.
That's interesting. In talking with her about her choice, she's talking about how she was drawn to the movement aspect here. And I can kind of see that, where that shadow shape is like a part of the compositional design.
I like that though. Because a portrait is in space and very quickly people can get stuck on the features and it becomes like Stephen was saying, just a head study, but it is more of a
very intentional composition.
Yeah.
Although I think that having just like a head study as a format is also beautiful.
It can be a successful strategy, that's what I mean. So you could have a great head study if it all technically works. Yeah. This could also really work well, provided that the composition is so excellent that we don't mind less likeness.
Yeah, because there's not much likeness going on there right now.
If the painting is so unbelievably exceptional that I can look past the lack of a likeness, I'm happy to award that painting a prize in the paint-off. But for general admission, I'm searching for likeness. If you prove to me already that your painting is so imaginative and amazing, I'm willing to look past that.
I'm really open-minded, I think, going into today to really be as fair as possible and not have any bias towards a particular lineage. I think that a huge part of today is exactly to show the large scope of representational artists. I think it's important that this competition is not about having a particular style, but really seeing what can be achieved within all these different expressions of this genre.
So lunch break is over. Let's check in with the artists. Are you feeling the pressure?
Yes.
Yeah. But do you feel like it's going okay?
Not as okay as I want it to be.
Okay, yeah.
But
that's the curse of the artist, isn't it?
Yeah. But there is like an enjoyment to just all of this.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can like ease into that rather than the anxiety of like, oh my God. There's like a pressure when people are around, but whenever those people are like highly educated in what you do, you know, it's one thing to like paint in front of people you like know in real life and you like, they don't know anything. But whenever people know things, you're like, it's like, you know, you have to be kind of locked into what you're doing.
Do you use a vertical palette there? Is that what you're doing?
Just, for the sake of today and for the sake of trying to make decisions a little bit faster.
It's a nice purple there.
Yeah, that is alizarin. So that's where...
That's alizarin. It looks so much more purple.
It's because it's like compared to this like super orange. So it's like I need that cooler.
Yeah. Is that what you're doing now? Like finding these small notes of color?
Yeah, trying to like bring interest to the painting. You're like fiddling for hours and hours and hours. That's why it's not very glamorous. Because I kind of think, why aren't there more painters? Because it's like a lot to do. It's a lot of work.
I was a carpenter and joiner, which was fine, which was very good, but it didn't feel quite enough. I had this long time love of drawing and painting, and I wanted to commit sort of seriously to it. So it was probably about 10 years copying work, trying to learn the material, internalize things, and grow in a way that I could begin to have some sort of authenticity and ownership of it.
In terms of colouring, well, this is my lemon yellow, which is in fact a bright yellow lake.
Okay.
Because it's got a little bit more energy in it.
You usually use hot brushes, I can see.
Yes.
You don't like synthetic?
No. They don't leave the gesture that I would want.
Yeah.
I want it to have that sort of impact and gestural weight in the mark.
I also saw that you have your own canvas. You've done it yourself, right?
Yes.
And what kind of canvas do you use? Like cotton, linen?
Cotton, yeah, fairly heavy on 12 ounce. Yeah. And quite a fine weave.
And why do you make your own?
2 reasons, really. It's cheaper. Mm-hmm. And so I've already touched it and sort of owned it.
Yes, that makes sense. And you just work on white, I guess.
Well, it's a grey.
A
little bit of grey, yes.
That's lovely.
Just to take the fierceness.
God, I didn't even notice that until I saw it.
Yeah, a little edge, you're right, yes. Yeah, just because white...
It's too bright, isn't it? Yeah.
And with a ridiculously large canvas, there's going to be glaring white, so I'm glad I put the grey on.
Well, I suppose considering the advantages or disadvantages of being a self-directed, self-taught artist, I know that being self-directed, I've had complete freedom. I've had a sense of time. I never had pressure. I just applied my own pressure and my own efforts in the directions I wanted. So there's a sort of naturalness, I guess, to being self-directed. But there is maybe an incoherence or lack of structural approach that may be missing, but I'm quite happy to forfeit that.
My education gave me a method to work with. So the course is broken down very strategically to make drawing the basis of everything, even before color, and learning about values. You can get a very realistic representation of something without plugging in loads of color and hyper rendering and all of that sort of what a lot of people think is the fun bit of painting.
I think there's areas I'd like to leave fairly simple and not too rendered. So I think I might leave the hair sort of as is. I like that it's slightly unfinished. I have a tendency to be really choppy, so I'm working through the areas pretty systematically and seeing if I can make anything softer.
When I'm starting a new composition, accuracy is always the first thing on my mind. And then I think you reach a point where you're achieving an image and you're looking at what's missing. So for me, emotional impact is something that I've only just started to introduce into my own paintings. It hasn't been the focus at all. So that's something which I'm still trying to find in my own work. And finding it, I think you can find it, you can create a setup, you can create a composition, which the intention is emotional impact. But I think something as simple as a head study could also have emotional impact. And you find that as you go. And especially working from life, I think you can always find moments which have more emotional impact, more feeling than other moments.
You're working on quite a big canvas there.
I planned to get a bigger canvas so I could work bigger, and then I ended up working the same size I would if I had a canvas half the size.
Yeah, that's
so
what I do.
It was a little bit of an
well.
accident.
I always shrink my heads.
Yeah.
It's like little shrunken heads.
But actually, it's quite nice because then I do have room for the shoulders and it's not too cramped.
Yeah.
So I am glad that I've done that accidentally.
Yeah. You said you might work on the background a bit more? Or
I don't want to fill it in completely because I don't intend on rendering the bottom.
Yeah.
So I guess I need to make a decision on how far I push out the background to the edges because I know I'm going to have white on there no matter what. But my organization is...
It's gone a bit all over the shop.
I didn't. There's absolutely no coherency in value.
And this is you cleaning your brush a little bit.
It's a very good representation of what's going on in my head.
I'm having a nice time, but reached a stage where it's more of a grind than a pleasure. I'm having to really push myself to find the marks.
So we're at the halfway mark. How are you feeling?
Bored. I'm making a mark every 5 minutes, basically.
Why do you do that?
Well, every mark I make, I have to think about very carefully.
Yeah.
Because each mark is corresponding to a specific plane on the head. I paint like a sculptor, basically.
Yeah.
I read in a book called The Manual of Oil Painting by John Collier. He talks about how a head should be painted as if it is a block of wood and you're hewing it with an axe. I think I learned painting by just painting, essentially. But I did study at London Fine Art Studios in 2022 for a year, which was a really great experience, not just because I got better at painting, but because I met so many interesting people.
The most important thing that I've learned during my training is to learn how to focus and to know what you need to look for. If you have that and if you have your fundamentals in place, things will work on the canvas. Like the difficult part with Alla Prima is that I need to suggest it.
Yes.
But
you can't do too much because it's fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and if the suggestion is wrong, it's all going to look messed up. So I have to focus.
So it's also quite a big canvas, right? I mean, that must be hard.
I have big brushes. Yeah. So for me, it would be more difficult to do this on a smaller scale. This is why I'm doing the same thing, but just with big brushes.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter.
For me, no. Also, I like to have some space around for composition as well. I feel like if it would have been small and if I did a portrait this big, it would have looked too cramped up.
Yeah, and also using a paper palette. Is that something you normally always do?
No, so this is actually the paper that we use for a transfer.
Oh, okay.
And this is the trick to save time and not clean the palette afterwards.
So at the end of the day, it goes in a bin.
Yeah. There's a lot of artists that I admire. Of course, Sargent, Zorn, to name a few. Bugero, I'm a big Bugero fan as well. I like to work very part by part with a very tight drawing, and I like to work loose as well. So I take inspiration from both Sargent and Bugero.
Look at these soft transitions. I think it's maybe one of the softest paintings we have.
For me, spheres are everywhere. Sphere is the god.
Yeah. And once you have the sphere,
then you break into smaller spheres. Or other cylinders.
So where do you see your cylinders?
I mean, everywhere, no? Yeah. The eyeball is a sphere.
Yeah.
Here is a sphere. That's a cylinder that needs to turn this way, then go in. Today, I'm definitely not Bugero. I don't think I'm Sargent as well. I'm just me out there in the open trying to figure a painting out.
I like your shoes.
Thank you very much.
What are these shoes? Are they your special painting shoes?
They're cheap water shoes, very cheap. But they're kind of flat on the ground. So I've got my training shoes here, but they're too hot and too springy and they make me seasick. Whereas here you're kind of on the ground.
You're kind of grounded.
Yeah.
Funny enough, with sea shoes, you're grounded. Which makes no sense. But...
No sense. But we know it makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so what's happening?
I thought, given that it's a painting class, I might as well, or not try and put some paint on.
It's not a drawing competition, no. Even though it was a lovely drawing that you did at the beginning.
So I thought I'd try and put some paint down.
Yeah.
That's really it. Really.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Good plan.
And I'm not used to working very fast.
How long do you normally take?
Well, it just is long. It's just forever. It's far too long. I'll just wander along, have another biscuit, go for another tea.
And maybe the painting will happen in a few weeks.
Yeah. They do take place constantly in between the biscuits and the radio. When you're painting, most of the thoughts are disappearing fast. So for me, I'm thinking about a dynamic that I want to grasp. But I'm also thinking how, lack of skills and things like that, or lack of technique or whatever, but you have to plough ahead. But I mean, today's an education because the skill level of everybody in the room is phenomenal and their steady ability of process is fantastic.
You've got 3 palettes there?
That's a small selection of my palettes. There's another 25 in the studio. This is my drawing
This is your
palette.
little palette?
This is my baby palette. This is my safety blanket one.
What's that palette?
That I thought, this is going to be the face palette now.
And so what colours are you using?
I tend to begin just very simply with, as you probably saw, a Venetian red, a Indian red, a bit of raw umber, just that, I would say, classic underpaint stuff.
That is,
and that's quite nice. I just bought that because I liked it. It's a nice sunshiny day colour.
I think nickel might be poisonous. You know?
Is it? Oh,
I'm not sure.
Oh, well, okay, I'll take that, yeah.
Yeah, just saying.
So,
believe it or not, I don't paint a lot of portraits, and I do larger compositions where the idea behind the painting is key, and really visually trying to move things around until I give the tension in a composition or the weight that I want. However, for this one, I knew I wasn't going to have the time to paint the whole thing, so I thought I would treat it as a vignette. So I would just do a head study and just trying to come up with some graphic shape to describe the connection between the head, the neck, and the torso, but not over describe or paint everything that I see. I'm struggling a little bit to find the drawing, the likeness. That's my main concern. Also, for whatever reason, because of the colors that I have and a bright orange background, I'm finding it difficult to push the chroma within the skin.
Yeah.
So in other words, it looks a bit gray at the
You've
moment.
got it on the nose, though.
Yeah. I'm going nuts. It's like almost pure colors. Yes.
But what's the plan now then?
To just make sure that I don't lose the structure of the face. When I came back from lunch, it was really funny. I saw it, and one ear was facing us, and the other ear was facing away. I was like, "How did I not see that?" But so that's the idea.
So structure, basically.
Yeah, structure. Get the drawing right, and then push chroma if I have the time for it.
Yes, definitely push chroma, I would say, because I love the way the noses start to look.
The paintings that I'm drawn towards in terms of light, I would say they're more chiaroscuro. They're more dramatic. They are dark. A lot of my paintings do look dark, but they actually, I find them sarcastic. So they're parodies, they're comical. So for example, I have a painting, there's a bunch of skulls, and it's the catacombs in Naples. So it's some buried remains of humans, like it's pretty heavy as a subject. However, the idea behind that is the superstition behind this whole thing. So Neapolitans believe that if you look after these remains and you pray for them, then the souls are freed and they're able to reach heaven eventually, right? But the reason why we pray for these bones is not that. The reason is because they watch over us from the afterlife. And if you're really good to them, like, you give up your secrets or your favorite football player on a figurine and you give it to them, then they'll come to your dreams and they give you the winning lottery numbers. So it's a parody of a culture like the culture of the dead.
I do like abstract artists, but for me it has to be a journey. So if you're looking at Mondrian, for instance, his work was very representational at first, and then he became more abstract. And for me, that's really interesting to see he's searching for something. In terms of living artists, I really love this painting by Emilio Villalba. He came to a workshop quite recently, and he painted this piece. And I absolutely love this piece because he's a very, very skilled artist. He can paint figuratively, but then he chooses to do something like this. And that's interesting to me.
I not very like contemporary art because they use too much article and nothing in picture. Really good art doesn't need any articles. You can see and you feel. It's enough. Article needs for writer, but not for artists.
You're doing 2 paintings, right? So you've got this one, but then also that one over there.
It's going well.
You sure? No.
I always not sure.
So 6 hours is quite a lot for me.
Optimistic that more paint will go on within that time.
I don't think that any painting will ever be where I want it to be, but I could have done better.
When there is pressure on, I'll be too careful.
Figurative art is demonized, marginalized, not encouraged in a popular sense.
I don't see it as a road to poverty.
Yeah, nothing is locked in, and it won't be locked in until the last brushstroke, I guess.
I think that a great painter is a great designer.
All of them, they are at an excellent level.
But neither of them has enough of a series of work.
All right, let's do a vote then.
This is really impossible.
But in the end, we decided the winner of the second Raw Umber Paint Off is